This is going to be a hard video to make. Um, we got rated and it was fun and all, and we've got people in here talking about right to repair, but it didn't start out that way. And I may be guilty in bringing it up because the actual somebody mentioned very innocently that they just got CompTia A plus and it's free if you work for a government agency in Europe, and that got me thinking about how far we've come with the CompTia thing. And so I'm just going to spit out my opinions on this. Like so many things, it doesn't matter what I or anyone thinks of what is. There's understanding what is, and then there's learning to cope with what is. I don't have any beer today, which is probably a good thing. If you go watch the drunk video of me talking about Red Hat, it would be appropriate for me to get extremely drunk to talk about CompTia. So, what is CompTia? Let's do. I'll try to make this video under 10 minutes, I promise. CompTia is the organization that has the monopoly at this point on all government-based certifications and has very aggressively sought to make it illegal to do things that most IT people do every day, including working on your phone. In fact, very famously, the right to repair movement, you probably heard about it, it was all over YouTube, it blew up. But Louis Rothman and the gang were specifically fighting against CompTia lawyers who were going city to city, local to municipality, seeking to make it illegal for people to repair their hardware that they purchase. In fact, arguing that they didn't own the hardware, that they were just renting it, even though they paid, $300 or whatever for that piece of hardware. And this video is not about right to repair, but it's important that you understand the right to repair issue and how big a deal it was and how slimy CompTia was in their approach to slowly and quietly, sending, disgusting lawyers into local cities to because they know how to make change in America. This is how you make change. You affect change at the local level, and then it bubbles up, and it eventually becomes national policy. That is the same strategy that's been well documented by academics who have been studying political influence for decades. It's actually the basis of something more positive called Represent Us, a movement, a nonpartisan movement to increase the effect of our votes in America. And so CompTia has taken this and used it to make the world a really horrible place, actually. They want to make it so that you can't do anything without getting them to sign off. The worst part of it is that if you've ever taken a CompTia exam, they are absolute crap. And full disclosure, I was actually approached once upon a time by CompTia to make learning materials for them. One of the reasons that I'm streaming from the car and I'm doing this literally grassroots, drive around the country and promote, tech skills for everybody, for the people without getting all, socialist on it, is because, you need to be able to understand these things, and nobody's going to tell you this. So I have a couple stories about this. The first story goes like this. I taught a bunch of people, and one time this guy came in, a really nice guy, and he signed up his son, and I was like, that's cool. And he went to pay, and he went to get a checkout, and I said to him, this is a true story, I said to him, do you know about PayPal? And he put his checkbook down and he went, oh yeah, I'm the CTO. True story, it actually happened. And I went, oh, okay, well, fast forward, after his son was there for some time, learning the grassroots, skills of Linux, installing Linux, running a lab at home, learning Python at the time, learning web dev enough to be able to understand it. All the things we do in the beginner boost. This kid who was the son of the CTO at PayPal, came to me and said, and I've told the story before, but I have to tell it again because it's related to CompTia. He said, my dad says that I need to get a CompTia A+ certificate. And he's wondering why you're not doing it. And the implication there is he was questioning my efficacy as a mentor and as a teacher to help people along without following the standard prescribed CompTia sorts of things. And I tell you that story because I want you to understand how deeply embedded the lie has become that CompTia is a valuable company with a valuable service to offer. It's a lie. It's absolute crap. You can do anything that's available on CompTia. There's people who have entire YouTube channels dedicated to getting your A+, to getting your Security Plus, to getting any number of CompTia certificates, and they're all trash. Almost none of the CompTIA's credentials and certifications require any kind of performance. You go into this extremely stressful test environment and you pick one of 4 questions and multiple guesses, and now you walk away and the government will hire you because you know everything about security. And I don't need to tell you all the problems with that. If you want to do your own research on this, go Google how effective are multiple choice tests at predicting assessment. They suck. They're horrible. They have been the worst things ever, and yet we still do them. Why? Because in order to do true assessment, which means having somebody who knows, a master, spend time with a person in sort of a blacksmith scenario to see whether they have actually made it, whether they become a master or they're not a Padawan anymore, or do the trials, which are actual, like if you think of Jedi, they have to perform trials in order to advance. That is not true for any test where you have to do multiple guesses. In fact, when I did the SAT prep back in high school, the guy who was doing the prep came in the room. This was after school program, and the first thing he told us is he said, "I want you to understand that we are not going to learn the material that's on the SAT test. We're going to teach you how to beat the test. And any system where you can beat the test that exists is wrong." So what is the takeaway from that? The takeaway is CompTIA is making billions of dollars off of a completely ineffectual method of assessment. That is what is happening. And they're forcing it on everybody. Everybody. You have to get it. If you're a government employee especially, you have to get Security Plus in America. You have to. You cannot work in government in America without a Security Plus certification. That is how widely CompTIA has shaken enough hands on the golf courses with all these upper leaders, and they have made it happen, including the CTO of PayPal, as I told you in that story. That person, the guy who's over the technology of all of PayPal, actually thinks that CompTIA is a good assessment and that we should be teaching to that test. Because if you don't have that credential, you don't matter, you don't have the skills. I have overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Overwhelming. And so that rant is part of this. That's the first half of this video. The second half of this video is going to be, okay, well, what do you need to do? And what do you need to know about it? Okay, so the first part of this is very simply, you are going to get nothing from CompTIA. You're not going to get anything from them in terms of learning. You might if you pay all the money for they like to sell you all the training, right? So you can't take the test unless you pay for our exclusive training, and then they lock you into their training system, and then they pay a whole bunch of money for training. This is the whole problem with the certification. It's a total scam. It's a total racket. The whole certification racket is almost as bad as the college racket, which says that you don't matter unless you have a college degree. All of this stuff is absolute crap. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter. That's how it is. It doesn't. Where's my beer? Where's my beer? Where's my beer? I don't have beer. It's probably a good thing. I have bourbon. Wait. Okay, I have brandy. I just need one swig of this. I just need one swig of this to tell you the rest of this. I promise I'm not a drunk. I am just someone who has to learn to deal. I have to learn to deal. Happy, happy, happy. Indeed, happy, happy, happy. One of the things about being my age and being a veteran in the industry is I have seen things and heard things and met people who have influence, who have no clue, and all this other stuff. And it makes me very frustrated. It makes me extremely frustrated, so much that, and I'll tell a story about this later, that I literally took half of my retirement money, took a 40% loss in America, started SkillStack so that I could help people learn what is the reality and deal with it and navigate it. So how do you navigate the reality of this absolutely horrible monopoly that CompTia has on the world? How do you do it? Well, the first thing is you decide what you want to do before you buy into their ecosystem of non-educational training. I'm going to say that again. How do you fight against it? The monopoly. So you have to decide whether you need it or not. How do you know whether you need it or not? I've done lots and lots of videos on this. Okay? You need to have already decided what you want to do every day, what careers you want to do, what are the titles for the kind of careers that you're seeking, and what are the top 5 companies that have that fulfill that. They don't have to be the company that you end up working for, but which are the top 5 companies. Once you identify that, then you identify people who are either in those companies or who know the skills that are required to work in that specific position in those specific companies. Everyone is doing this completely upside down, and I have to say it every time over and over again, because the decision to go a CompTia certificate is fundamentally dependent on what you want to do. You don't buy the exercise equipment and then start exercising and just randomly grab whatever exercise equipment. You figure out what's wrong and what you need to work on, then you get the exercise equipment, right? That's how you should be doing. Everybody's doing it wrong. They're doing it backwards. They have no idea what they want to do, and they think that they sign up for CompTia, it'll give them some direction somehow. And CompTia is banking on the fact that you're going to buy their useless exercise equipment. They absolutely are, because they know human nature, and human nature is to not have a plan. Human nature is to run headlong into a thing and say, oh, I'll figure it out eventually, and pay money along the way, which is pretty much every college. If you change your major more than 3 times, we all need to go to college. Okay, well, what are you going to do with that college education? Well, I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get to college. There's a separate video about whether you should go to college, and there's 5 reasons, and there's 5 specific reasons you should go to college if you want to go to college, and what college accomplishes, and make sure you watch that video. I'll do that video next. But CompTia is a very specific, horrible thing that you might need to add if you are seeking employment with the government, specifically. If you are seeking employment in security with the government, absolutely. If you are trying to break into the industry and have not had any proof of what you've done before and have difficulty proving it, such as you want to put, computers together or something. But, as usual, there are always ways for you to do that outside of CompTia, right? So, that's probably all I'm going to say for this video. Make sure you know you need it or not. I would not get, the bottom line is, I would never recommend anybody get any CompTia certificate unless it is literally blocking you from doing something else that's going to produce more trust for a specific career. And that is true of government positions, certain bank positions, certain insurance agencies, places like that. Usually the really stupid companies. The companies that have all the money. The companies that have money are some of the stupidest companies on the planet. It's really sad. It really is. The stupider the company, the more money they have. I don't know why. That's just the way the universe works. Having money doesn't mean you're smart, obviously. So that is my suggestion. That is a long video. I want you to understand what you're getting into when you get into a CompTia sort of situation, and only go for CompTia if you need it. So what should you do instead? Instead is, we've already covered this in another video, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. What you should do is you should build a lab. You should build a lab. You should build out. You should be spending money on engaging. So, for example, the test costs, I don't know how much, right? $500-600. Take that money and buy, I don't know, 4 Optiplex. I did a whole video about this. Buy 4 Optiplex computers and network those together. Buy yourself a switch, practice doing it, practice installing different operating systems, install Windows on there, practice doing that because that's all in the CompTia. Set up the networking, understand how to manage viruses on Windows. You can look up the stuff that's covered in the CompTia exam, and that's probably okay. And you can say, okay, I'm gonna now set up my own plan for doing this, and I'm gonna do it in the lab. And so when I am actually interviewed for whatever position you go for, you can say, well, I don't have a CompTia Plus, but I've built 25 computers and they're running in my lab right now. Which one would you rather have? The senior executives of corporations who really get it actually value hands-on experience above certification. And you will encounter these people. I have in my stream. So my suggestion is take the money that you would have sent for CompTia, Set that money aside and build your own lab. Build your own networking lab, build your own computers, learn how to use virtualization, experiment, be hands-on about it as much as you can. Everything, including some of the Red Hat stuff I just found out, is available for free for developers. So you can actually install stuff that into a lab. That is always going to be a better experience than, and you can set your own assessment criteria. And if you're working with a mentor, which is another video that we've done, you should not even be doing any of this until you've at least found someone that can help mentor you through the decision-making process and help when you get stuck. So let's say you get stuck and you don't know how to set up your VLAN switch or something. But that experience is always going to be more valuable than some multiple choice test from CompTia. The only time a CompTia exam is ever going to get you anything is when the specific job in the specific industry that you're looking for demands it. That is it. That is the only time. Other than that, it might give some structure to what people think you need to learn. But the thing about CompTia as well as academia is they can't keep up. There's no way for them to keep up on the most modern systems. Go look up how much stuff in the CompTia Plus is regarding the ARM chips and the new Macs and everything. Nothing. Because accreditation takes at least a full year, and any change to curriculum has to be submitted in advance. There's no way any of the formal training, any of these lumbering monsters can keep up with the pace of technology. The only way to keep up is for you to set forward your own plan and to maintain that inside of the lab as fast as possible, to keep your learning just as minimal as possible so you can learn just in time what you need to do for the next position or the next assignment or the next thing. It's what I'm doing. I've got to learn OpenShift Ansible. Not just Ansible, OpenShift Ansible. So I'm doing it too. And I'm setting up my laptop. I'm putting a little lab on my laptop with virtual machine so that I can practice doing those very things. And also considering getting a Red Hat Certified Engineer certificate because it's a piece of paper and it's a checkbox. But that's a different video.